Hey you, make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video for my special giveaway announcement. You don't want to miss this. And if you want to help support the channel, check me out on Patreon. And since I'm brand new, my page is still under construction. But very soon, you'll have access to exclusive member content. And thank all of you for your support. Hey you, it's your girl, the Comic Book Bombshell, right here. And welcome to my channel. And on today's episode, it's another edition of Story Time with the Bombshell. What's on the menu, you ask? Well, it's part 2 of Vader Dark Visions. So buckle your seatbelt, we're getting ready to roll.
We would be honored if you would join us.
They pick up right off the bat with a space battle. There's some rebel scum and his droid desperately trying to escape the wrath of the Empire. Now this scum appears to be the sole survivor of this battle and narrowly escapes by putting his ship in the Viper Drive. After the rebel has made his escape, we are introduced to an extremely upset Commander Trilux. Now, as another Imperial officer tries to explain how the mission was a complete success by decimating the rebel base and preventing them from acquiring Empire factory locations. Now, Trilux looks like he starts to relax and tells another officer to inform the High Command of their victory. The next thing we see is the commander reflected in his personal quarters when he is interrupted by a crew member and informed that the Emperor is delighted at the success of this mission and that Lord Vader is en route to pick up the captured rebel. Then we see a look of sheer terror come across the commander's face because he doesn't hear the rebel and he seems to know the consequences of failure. Which, in fact, is the case as we learn that years earlier, the commander had witnessed firsthand the severe punishment he faces because he entered a conference room with several Imperial officers who were all being force choked and killed by Darth Vader as he was explaining how they were warned about disappointing the Emperor. And as Vader makes his exit, after dispensing the punishment to the other officers, we see a cowering young Trilux on his knees, and Vader pauses briefly to let him know that failure is unacceptable. As we snap back to the present, we see a frantic Commander Trilux going against orders, telling his crew to prepare the ship to jump to hyperspace because they are going after the rebel spy. And after tracing the rebel scum's trajectory, they track him to an asteroid field. And much to the crew's dismay, Trilux orders the ship into the field and to increase the power to the shields. And then we see the Star Destroyer Bellicose come crashing through the asteroid field, much to the surprise of the rebel and his droid, who find themselves caught out in the open. Even though the toy fighters had the rebel pinned down, Trilux, with visions of Darth Vader force choking him still swarming around his head, starts to panic, and against the voice from his crew that the storm is going to blind their fighters and overheat their engines, warns them of Vader's imminent arrival. And not only orders them to continue their pursuit, but tells every single fighter crew on board to go after that rebel. With the toy fighters cruising fast, they score a direct hit, and Commander Trilux is sure that it's just a matter of time before that rebel is captured. Now, the big damaged rebel ship is doing its best to evade capture, and it looks like Trilux's gamble might just pay off as the pursuit leads to the surface of a planet where a massive sandstorm is raging. It turns out that Trilux's gamble did not pay off as the toy fighters start dropping like flies, and by the time the chase leads back out of space, only a couple of the dozens of fighters left to follow that rebel scum back into the asteroid field. And with a quick move, the shifty rebel fighter is easily able to outmaneuver the overheating TIE fighters, destroying them, much to the dismay of Twi'leks, who looks like he's on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Next, the completely livid Twi'leks goes overboard and does the only thing he can and orders his massive ship to continue the pursuit and follow that rebel scum into the asteroid field, suffering massive damage in the process. And then we flash over to the rebel as he pulls a page out of fellow rebel scum Han Solo's book and tries to hide inside a giant space slug. And we see just how afraid and desperate Vader has made the commander as he demands his Star Destroyer follow that rebel into the mouth of that massive slug. And we see the insane scene of that ship smashing through the mouth of that slug. Much to the rebel's surprise, he sees the Empire is still in hot pursuit as he blasts a hole through the side of the slug. Oh, when we realize Commander Twi'leks has overplayed his hand for the last time as he tries to finally capture the rebel using the tractor beam, only for the crew to tell him that all systems are failing because the ship is covered with minox. And if that isn't bad enough, a fleet of rebel ships drop down out of hyperspace right in front of his defenseless ship. Twi'leks gives the only order he can and tells his crew to abandon ship as they are bombarded by the newly arrived rebels. Later, we pick up with Commander Twi'leks, who is still aboard his burning ship and looks resigned to his fate and is willing to go down with that ship, only to have his worst fears realized as he sees Lord Vader approaching with his lightsaber in his hand, telling him again, failure is unacceptable.
You have failed me for the last time.
Whoa, what a difference between part 1 and part 2. Darth Vader goes from savior to punishment. And this story illustrates the desperation and fear and rash things it leads Imperials to do to avoid Darth Vader's fury. Just look at the degree of insanity and desperation that Lord Vader causes, even though he is not present. And you can let me know what you think of Dark Visions Part 2 down in the comments below. All you have to do is subscribe, like, and comment, and also tell your friends so we can reach this goal. Are you the lucky one? And with that, I bid you farewell. I would like to thank all of you for tuning into my channel for today's episode. I have a lot of things planned with an unbelievable amount of content that I want to share with all of you. This was your Comic Book Bombshell. Until next time, see you later. And if you liked what you just watched and you want more, please hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell. And don't forget to spread the word and smash that like button.